doing a few other little bits and pieces of tidy up work here as well. Well, I've got the welder out. I've welded up a hole there. I think that might have been a seat belt or something. There was one on the other side, both in different places. This little one up here for the left-hand rear wing was in the wrong place. It needed to be back a little bit further. That was a replacement panel, that one. And down here, when I put that in, obviously didn't make that very nice, that job, so there's a bit of a crease there. I'll just improve that weld a little bit, so I'll cut that and make that look a bit nicer. And the other thing that I've found is when I've gone to fit that panel up, I've found that when I made this, it needs to get cut back to about that line there. So I'll do that. It's just not fitting quite right. So we'll fix that up, grind them off and see how they look. Well, this turned out to be a bit more of an issue than I originally thought, in that this splash plate did not fit. It because this edge here in that last 3 or 4 inches actually turned inwards when I welded all the inner sill on, this sort of ran off in that direction. So I've had to try and push that over. Additionally, this arc here wasn't quite right, so I've put a cut up through that and moved that back a bit and put a little weld along there. I might even do the same down the bottom there, just to get that over a little bit more. I do have quite a wide lip on there, so that can get trimmed back a bit. When you look at the lip there, it's not very wide. So yeah, so I've had to take all my little braces out to try and shift this across, and yeah, it's turned out to be quite a job. But anyway, you've got to get it right. There's no point going to the primer and painting process unless all these things fit. And another little issue there, something to be mindful of, certainly when you weld these sills in, that all this has got to be lined up so your splash plates will fit. Yeah, experience, I guess, covers all of that when you've done more than one, but yeah, it's just one of those little things that I overlooked. And you'd think with the sill being straight, that whole thing would end up straight, that inner sill plate, but it actually turned in over about the last 4 inches inwards. So something to be mindful of there. But anyway, I'll soldier on and we'll get it right in the end. Right, well, there's that job done now. I actually made a new splash plate, got it all fitting a lot better, tidied up that area there, and yeah, that's all looking much better. What I would suggest that anyone that's contemplating welding in new sills and rear sill plates to have that panel fitted. Gave me a little bit of grief there because that had been turned in a little bit. So yeah, it would pay to have that little panel fitted when you're doing the inner sills and the sill plates. A little bit of advice there, gave me a little bit of grief, so I'll pass that little tip on. But there it is, that's all done, and on to the next job. I'm going to make a new rear splash plate as well. I did one for the right hand side, which turned out quite well, and the rear one on the left, it's recoverable, but it's got a lot of surface rust on it. So by the time I clean all that off, sandblast it, hammer it up a little bit and prime it, I could have the other one already made. So I'm going to go down that road again. So we'll call that a wrap for today, and until next time, we'll catch you all later. So there's the rear splash guard for the left hand side, all just about formed up, ready for welding. So that's all working out pretty well. I think it's a better solution than trying to resurrect the old one. So yeah, so we'll have 4 new splash guards all the way around in the rear, and I've made that out of 1.2, which is a little bit heavier gauge, so it'll withstand a little bit more knocking about with a bit of luck. So there's that one. I'll get that finished and I'll show you how that all pans out when it's bolted up to the car. Well, there's the structural side of that all done now. It's all in the rough. I'll put a little bit of seam sealer in a few places, which I had there before, across the tops of those, over those wells, and certainly down that seam there, which I had to redo once before. It was a bit ugly. But we've got it all fitting up quite nicely now, and the other splash guard, it's all done and mounted. So I've got to get all that in primer, of course, but it's looking much better than it was, I must say. So I'll tidy all that up now, and I'll get a little bit of filler and primer where need be, and we'll have all that done. Right, well that's all put back together now, and a bit of etch primer put on it. That's worked out pretty good. I still do have to do a little bit of work down this edge of that B pillar there to make the shut face panel fit properly, but that shouldn't cause too much drama. Also got a little bit of etch primer on the A pillar and the sill. I sanded the black factory coating off it, and I've got an epoxy etch primer on it. So that's all that sorted out now. I will put a little bit of seam sealer over the top of those seams as I did before, and that should be a wrap up for that. It's been a bit of a trial, but we're getting there in the end.